Alright, what's up with the YouTube fam? I'm back again with another video. This is the update that I told y'all I was gonna bring y'all. So basically, long story short, you know, the whole situation with SHANQUELLA passing and the people are not being charged by the FBI for what they've done is very, very sad. Like I said before, you know, it's just crazy that they can actually see what took place and not actually charge her for that, you know what I'm saying, and charge everybody else around who was contributing to the whole situation. But basically, you know, I got the update where the lawyer and the family is speaking out about the whole situation. I haven't watched this shit. I did watch a couple of minutes of it, but I said I'm gonna bring it to my people. We're gonna watch this together, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. But I do want to know what y'all feel about this situation. I mean, I know a lot of people are in the outrage, but I have been seeing some people saying some weird shit, you know, and I'm really not rocking with it at all, you know, just basically saying that, you know, it's not our problem and everything like that. Man, listen, it's certain shit I gotta be kind of filtered on, but some shit ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm gonna put it like that. You know what I'm saying? This is a us problem that we having with the U.S. and all of the government officials and things like that. So, yeah, a lot of things that you speaking about ain't got shit to do with you. So, yeah, watch what you saying about other people when this could be easily somebody in your family, you know. So, yeah, just be careful, watch what you say, and have some respect and decency for the family. You feel me? It's just sad that people just lack compassion in these type of situations. But, yeah, man, you know, the U.S. is not federally charging this or pursuing anything with this case, which is sad. It's sickening in my opinion. And yeah, you know, it's other things that's coming out. It's conflicting autopsies and stuff like that. Man, they should have did this shit right. You know what I'm saying? And let's just keep it real, bro. You know, if it was a white lady, they would have did so much more in this situation. I'm gonna keep it real. And I love all races. I ain't got nothing against nobody or none of that, but I'm gonna keep it real. You know, I'm gonna call a spade, you know. Shit, it would have been a whole nother situation. They treating this like it ain't nothing. They treating her like she's not worthy of the prosecution or the effort or anything like that. It's just a lack of compassion in my opinion, and I'm not rocking with it. But hey, let's go ahead and get into the update and talk about the whole situation. And yeah, man, I want to know what y'all feel about everything in the comment section. Oh yeah, and if you been rocking with the channel, you ain't been seeing my content, make sure y'all unsubscribe and subscribe again, and make sure that y'all hitting the notification bell and y'all click notifications for all. That way y'all can get all my content. And if y'all not hitting the like button, they're not gonna recommend the channel to y'all. You know, they only recommend certain things that y'all like. I know a lot of y'all been messaging me saying y'all not seeing my content, and that's what's going on. But anyways, man, let's jump into the video, get into all these specifics, and see what they got to say about it.
Right now on WBTV, federal prosecutors not bringing charges in the death of SHANQUELLA Robinson.
It's sad,
Good
bro.
afternoon, I'm Siobhan Bryan. The Robinson family has been talking about this breaking development right now at a Charlotte church. They just walked into this church. Any moment now, we're going to hear from them. Now, again, the family met with the Charlotte FBI this morning where they announced that they will not be filing charges in the death of SHANQUELLA Robinson. Of course, that's the Charlotte woman that traveled to Mexico late last year and died on that trip. Since then, we've been following the story since the very beginning. Our Brandon Hamilton is there right now, went to the family to Washington, D.C., and did all of that to see what was going to happen in the push for justice. Let's see what's happening. What we did get, as we wait for them to speak and take to the podium, we did get a statement from the Charlotte FBI office earlier today, and they said, in part, based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. That coming from the office of U.S. Attorney Dina King. Says the death of Ms. Robinson has been incredibly difficult for her family and the community. As a matter of policy, federal officials generally do not issue public statements concerning the status of an investigation. Now, we've been keeping up with this since the very beginning, and again, we know at this time SHANQUELLA Robinson went to Mexico with some of her friends late last year, and she did not return from that trip. We do know that Mexican authorities announced that they would be issuing a warrant for one of the people that accompanied her on that trip, but there's no word yet on if Mexico plans to indict that person. Let's listen in live now that they're taken to the podium.
Oh yeah, and there's one thing that a lot of people are saying, basically just saying that just because they didn't charge them over here don't mean that they won't be charged over there. You gotta hear how they're wording certain things. You feel me? They're trying to let it be known that they really just don't know what the hell is finna happen with the situation. So yeah, don't get misconstrued. Don't let nobody deter you or try to get you off track of what's really happening. pay attention to what the hell they doing with this young lady. Let's get back into it though.
In the Zion Church, thank you for making it not robbery to come and join this family, and attorney SHANQUELLA Robinson. And on behalf of Pastor Walker, well, the family would say thank you to Pastor Walker and the Little Rock AME Zion Church for opening up your doors and allowing this to take place this afternoon. I am Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this afternoon. I'm going to bring up attorney SHANQUELLA Robinson.
Okay, everybody, thank you again. Thank you, Mario. Thank you for having us, Pastor. We really, truly appreciate it. We're here today. Obviously, everyone knows that the FBI has released their statement indicating that they don't plan on filing any charges after investigating SHANQUELLA's case. So we're here today. We're disappointed, but we're not deterred. It's not something that's necessarily unexpected in the sense that black and brown people always have to carve their own path to justice. Today, just sitting in the meeting with the family, listening to what we were being advised and listening to what the so-called investigation was revealing, I thought back to Miss Wanda, Ahmaud's mother, who had to take her case to the state attorney's office and had to beg for charges to be pressed in the death of her son. And I remembered Sandra Bland's mother, who had to do the same thing when they told us all that an investigation revealed that her cause of death was suicide. And I think most about in SHANQUELLA's case, because her attack was captured on video, and now we're being told that there isn't going to be an arrest, or there aren't going to be any charges brought. It reminds me of George Floyd and how we were told that while we were watching with our own eyes Derek Chauvin putting his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we were being told that he was having a heart attack and that he was suffering from a drug overdose. So while we're here disappointed, we're not deterred. We're going to continue to press on. We're going to continue to demand that there's a high level of diplomatic intervention in this case, that if the U.S. authorities are now again telling us, oh, well, it's back on Mexico because Mexican authorities have to do something, we don't have a problem with that. We know that we have to carve our own path to justice, and we've been doing that from the very beginning. Mrs. Robinson has demonstrated tremendous strength, and I talk about it all the time, as well as Quilla, her sister, having to bury a child, grieve for a child, get through all of that stuff, and then fight for justice for your child at the same time. And then being advised today, well, despite there being a video showing a vicious and brutal attack of your child while she's naked and obviously not fighting back, that there is nothing that can be done in terms of charges being filed by the FBI, that you have to seek your redress and your justice somewhere else. And that's fine. Mrs. Robinson, again, is obviously disappointed, as is all the family at the meeting today. But we're not deterred. We're still going to be marching. We're still going to rally in D.C. on May 19th, because it shouldn't be that in this country that black women, black and brown victims of crime have to do this every time they are victims of crimes. But it is unfortunately what it is. And again, any discrepancies or any issues with respect to Mexican autopsy versus the autopsy conducted by the FBI, all of those things are going to be a result of a delay. And now we're witnessing the result of a delay, which is why there was always a concern, which is why I always say this is the people's case, this is the people's movement that said, hey, there's no reason why a black woman should go on vacation with her friends, be returned to her family in a box, and nothing be done for 5 months, that the FBI be permitted to sit on their hands, that they be permitted to say, we're working, because justice delayed can be justice denied. We all know that and have seen it time and time again. And so that's why I say, on behalf of the family, again, we're very disappointed, very deeply disappointed. But we're not deterred, because it's something that we've seen before, and we know that we have to carve our own path to justice. Ms. Robinson knew that when she asked me to go on a fact-finding mission to Mexico, that we were obviously in a state of affairs where there's two different justice systems in America. And we know that in ours, we have to fight for our justice. We have to rally for our justice. We have to beg for the same constitutional rights. And Shanquella is doing that even in death. Even in death, she's having to fight for her rights as a U.S. citizen, as a victim of a crime. The U.S. authorities have to understand and have to know that even if for them it's not about Shanquella, that United States citizens cannot go to Mexico, commit a crime that we all saw on a video, and then come back to America and say, we're on base, we're safe, we're not going to be charged with a crime. That cannot be the message that the U.S. authorities want to send. So again, discrepancies caused or discrepancies in the autopsy results between Mexican authorities that we've all been discussing, unfortunately, and not being discussed by the right individuals, have all been caused by delays. If it had been taken serious from the very beginning, if the internet and the people and social media didn't have to create the movement behind the case, and the authorities would have gotten involved the minute the video surfaced, there wouldn't have been a delay. There would have been immediate statements taken from the individuals involved. There would have been time to take an immediate autopsy of the body before it was embalmed. All of those things would have been done, but because it was the death of a young, black, beautiful, brilliant, educated woman who was on vacation, justice was delayed. There was no investigation done. It was not taken seriously until the people had to say, hey, we're not going to accept that this is just what it is. This can't be just what it is. We see with our own eyes an attack, an assault, a crime happening, and nothing's being done. That came from you all. That came from the people saying, we demand answers. And today we actually ended up with way more questions than answers. And so that's why I'm determined and fully aware, and the team, Ben Crump, Tanika Mallory, Until Freedom, Mario Black, all of us, we stand with this family, and we're going to stand with this family until the very end. And we're going to be in Washington, and we're going to rally, because we understand, unfortunately, what the job is, what the work is, and that we have to carve our own path to justice in these cases. And we've seen it time and time again, and I've said it in other press conferences. I would like to be put out of this line of business. I don't want to be here on behalf of another beautiful black family begging for dignity and respect and basic constitutional rights. I don't want to be doing those things.
I hate to pause it. I'm tripping to I hate to pause. I'm tripping. Listen, I love her wordplay. She too cold with it. I'm talking about everything that she's saying is perfectly worded, and she's, putting them on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? Putting the black culture on the pedestal, black and brown. You know what I'm saying? And no shade to anybody else that's a viewer of mine that's not black or brown, but I love the way that she's uplifting the community. You feel me? I love the way that she's not trying to put nothing to the side. She has nothing that she's hiding, nothing that she's scared to say, and I like the fact that she actually put George Floyd in this situation as well. I love her character. I love the way that she just presented this case. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I just want to say that real quick. Let's get back into it.
But that is what it is right now. We have two separate justice systems, where one is, if you're a victim of a crime and you look a certain way, it's going to be covered by the media. It's going to be resolved in a certain way.
I just said that.
And then
something like that.
We have our cases where we have to have press conferences and rallies, and we have to beg the government to intervene. And that's not okay. And that's why it's the most important work of our time. And so we're disappointed. We're not deterred. We're pressing on. We absolutely will keep you guys updated on everything that we're doing, but we're definitely pushing toward the 200th day to be in D.C. We hope that everyone can join us, because the message cannot be that U.S. citizens can go overseas and commit crimes against other U.S. citizens and come back and say that they're on base, that they're safe, that they're not going to be arrested, that there's going to be such a delay in the investigation that the evidence will have time to dissipate, and they'll have time to change their stories
and finesse it.
work on the evidence. That can't be the message, because this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we have U.S. constitutional rights, and there's victims' rights, and we're going to fight for that. We're going to fight for that whether the victim of the crime is Shanquella or whether it's any black woman. We're going to fight for that because it's deserved. It's our right as U.S. citizens.
Definitely.
So I'll have, do you want to speak? Okay. Do you want to speak? Okay. So,
Shit, you got it.
Is there any kind of evidence you can share that was shared with you all for the reason why the government DOJ said they?
Sure. I said there was a delay, meaning that the video was released on November 16th. So we were advised today that the U.S. authorities didn't begin an investigation until after their own autopsy had been conducted, which would have been well after the video came out.
Yep.
And really the bigger issue is that without the video, before the video even came out, if you all remember, there was a statement released saying no foul play. Before any evidence was even entered, there was a statement made saying, oh, there's no foul play. That statement was never retracted, but because the case was never taken seriously from the beginning, that caused the delay. That caused Mexico to have to do their own autopsy, then the FBI to have to wait for the Robinson family to have the body transported. All of these things should have been done by U.S. federal authorities if they took the case seriously from the beginning.
They didn't give a damn.
But it wasn't taken seriously from the beginning. The people had to move the case. We had to demand that the case be taken seriously. And those delays are going to cause discrepancies in an investigation. We all watched First 48. Know that that time when you're investigating a murder or homicide or any crime, that you have to investigate swiftly. We saw it with the kidnapping case in Mexico. Immediately, the FBI said, $50,000 reward, we're moving in, we're coordinating with the Mexican authorities. There was no swift action on this case. There was absolutely no urgency on the part of the U.S. authorities. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I guess what's the discrepancy? Were there any discrepancies that they told you as far as like the Mexican autopsy?
Oh, okay, sure. So, yeah, absolutely, because it's going to be revealed. It's going to be, the feds are going to release their results of their autopsy, which was done after the body was embalmed and then transported, and they're advising that there isn't a spinal cord injury, that the Mexican autopsy says there's a spinal cord injury, but according to them, there is no spinal cord injury. They're also advising that there's swelling on Shanquella's brain, but that her cause of death is undetermined. So to me, if you are in an investigation, how are you closing an investigation on a case where the cause of death is undetermined, but we all have seen a video showing a brutal attack? That doesn't, it's not giving undetermined. It's giving there's a video.
She said it's not giving.
Something else, not to believe our own eyes, which is why I invoked George Floyd's case, which is why I said, that was a case where we were being told, don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe that Derek Chauvin has his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. Believe that it's really a heart palpitation or he's having some sort of drug overdose.
Which is crazy.
Video. We see what happened. We see that she's being beaten, but we're being told that, the cause of death is undetermined. And that can happen if the autopsies are delayed. That can happen.
There is an arrest warrant out of Mexico. How does the FBI statement today impact that arrest warrant? And did they give you any indication that they will extradite the people who were on that trip with Shanquella?
Right. They've indicated that that basically what they're doing is what I've talked about from the beginning, which is ping-ponging. The FBI today said, well, we're not going to press charges, but Mexico could do something if they want to do. And if Mexico wants to do something, then it's no problem. We'll be fully cooperative with anything that Mexico wants to do. So again, as you all know, I went to Mexico, and Mexico said, we've sent everything over to Interpol, we've sent everything to FBI, we've sent all of our documents, we're just awaiting word from U.S. authorities on what needs to be done next. So there's a Department of International Affairs, the Department of State, obviously, who we've contacted and sent a letter to, and they know what needs to be done. And that's what's so frustrating about the case, because it's not something that's without precedence or without a protocol. And so for the United States government and for the FBI today to sit and tell myself, Mrs. Robinson, Quilla, and Mr. Robinson, that there's nothing to be done on their end, they're closing their investigation, and I guess Mexico could do something if they want to, is absolutely absurd.
Facts.
Not just for SHANQUELLA's case, though. It's not absurd just for her case. It's absurd for any person who would be a victim of a crime overseas committed by a U.S. citizen. How can you just say, okay, well, as long as we make it back home, we're not going to get in trouble? That makes no sense. Yes. 1 second. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And that's exactly what we've been asking for from the beginning, which is a high level of diplomatic intervention. It's going to take more than the local FBI field office in Charlotte, with all due respect to all the work that they do. It's going to take more than that, because there has to be a high level of diplomatic intervention. Heads of state have to talk to heads of state and say, listen, this is what it is. This is what happened. It's on video. We can't have U.S. citizens do this. Cannot occur. How are we going to resolve this? There needs to be a result in an amendment to the treaty or whatever has to be done. But it cannot be that you can commit a crime and come back and say you're on base. That can't be the result. So between then and now, we're absolutely preparing for the rally on the 200th day on May 19th. And then we definitely are going to still be, beating down doors and asking for our meetings in terms of, the head of the International Affairs Committee and their chair and all of the things that we've been doing. We're still going to continue that. And that's why I say, on behalf of the family, we are deeply disappointed, but we're not deterred. Yes.
Hey, look, I'm gonna holler at y'all at the end of this video. I'm gonna go ahead and let her finish saying what she's saying. She's saying so many powerful things and have so many points. I can't do nothing but rock with everything that she's saying. Ain't really shit I can say, you feel me? I'm just really bringing this from now on here for everybody else to get their own clarity. But I got a lot of clarity from this real quick. And yeah, man, I'm finna watch the rest of it. And I'm gonna holler at y'all at the end of this. All right.
Heads of state have to talk to heads of state and say, listen, this is what it is. This is what happened. It's on video. We can't have U.S. citizens do this. Cannot occur. How are we going to resolve this? There needs to be a result in an amendment to the treaty or whatever has to be done. But it cannot be that you can commit a crime and come back and say you're on base. That can't be the result. So between then and now, we're absolutely preparing for the rally on the 200th day on May 19th. And then we definitely are going to still be, beating down doors and asking for our meetings in terms of, the head of the International Affairs Committee and their chair and all of the things that we've been doing. We're still going to continue that. And that's why I say, on behalf of the family, we are deeply disappointed, but we're not deterred. Yes.
I know that Mexico has issued an arrest warrant, but has Mexico issued a extradition request?
Right. And I think the issue right now, and what I'm kind of alluding to, is that if an extradition request was needed, if that was the one piece that we were all here waiting for, why wouldn't there be a high level of diplomatic intervention to say, hey, there's criminals among us. They're walking around and they hurt someone. Can you get this? There needs to be communication. And the reason why there's no communication is because the case hasn't been taken seriously.
Right. So I guess, to your knowledge, has Mexico issued a formal request for extradition?
Absolutely. Like I said, I was advised by the Attorney General in Baja Sur directly, we have sent everything. They have everything. And remember, for the FBI to conduct their investigation, they've advised us, we're in communication with Mexico. That's how we did our investigation, to say we're not pressing charges. So if they're in communication with Mexico, why isn't part of the communication, hey guys, forgot to drop off the extradition paperwork?
So just to
The State Department has not advised. What I'm saying is, and what I've said since I went to Mexico, which is they have advised all the documents they need to submit have been submitted. So now we're being advised, well, we're not going to press charges in the United States. Maybe Mexico's going to do something. So the point is, if you're having ongoing communication because you're involved in an investigation and you really give a damn, then that's a very simple communication. Hey guys, we're not going to be able to press charges, but you guys go ahead and prepare your extradition paperwork so we can get it sorted out, since there's criminals over here just running around free and it's hurting an American family. That's a very simple communication.
Prior to the update that went out this afternoon, what was the last communication that you had with the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding this case?
The U.S. Attorney's Office in Mexico?
And the U.S.
We were not communicating with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the United States. We were communicating with the FBI and the State Department.
And what was the most recent update you had gotten on the case prior to the one that was released?
Oh, we were all getting the same update, which is we were investigating. Yeah, for the last 5 months.
I know the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you were meeting with White House officials last week, or the week of April 3rd. Did that meeting happen, and what happened in that case? And then from the FBI, I'm trying to get more clarity. What are they saying they need, or what is the thing that they're saying they're missing? If they're saying, Mexico wants to press charges, we can move on, whatever, but an extradition request has been filed, and the arrest warrant has been filed, what are they saying is the missing piece so they can, move forward with extraditing someone with status?
Good question.
Okay, so two questions. Right. We are still going to White House, and we are still moving towards that, because our belief has always been from the beginning that it's always going to be bigger than the local feds in Charlotte. That it's going to take a high level of diplomatic intervention because heads of state have to talk to heads of state. That's just the bottom line. It's a transnational criminal case, and so it's going to take a little bit more, especially because it involves one of us. Again, I hate to keep repeating that in the Mexican kidnapping case, that was the most swift action ever. So saying to SHANQUELLA's family, oh, we had to look around, it took us a while, we had to wait to get this autopsy result, is absolutely disingenuous, because swift action could have been taken if it was taken seriously from the beginning. And then what was the second part of your question?
What was the missing piece? Well, actually,
Oh, okay.
to piggyback off of that, so I know you mentioned you were supposed to meet the week of April 3rd. Are they receptive to meet with you, or are they pushing that behind you?
Well, the issue is everyone is ping-ponging against everyone else. So first, you have to meet with this person in order to meet with this person in order to have a meeting with this. So we have now completed this piece, which again, we're disappointed by what was said today, but we're not deterred. So that's what I'm saying. We're continuing on our same path to the rally on May 19th and to have meetings with heads of state.
So you met with FBI in Charlotte today. Talk to me a little bit more about that meeting, and then what do they think is the missing piece so that they can move forward? Because I know the extradition request has been put.
Okay, so there is not a missing piece. So I don't want there to be a narrative saying that there's a missing piece. There's no missing piece. There's a video. Her cause of death is currently undetermined, and they've advised, based on their own autopsy, that they cannot determine a cause of death for SHANQUELLA. Her autopsy that took place in the United States was done after her body was embalmed, which means that there was a delay, obviously. There's an undetermined cause of death and a video showing her being beaten. So you tell me what the missing piece is.
Well, I guess the question is, so if Mexican authorities are saying, hey, here are all the paperwork, requests and so forth, so what would be necessary for them to actually extradite someone?
So I unfortunately am not able to be present for the supposed conversations between Mexican authorities and United States authorities on this particular case, right? I can only say what I was advised. So the Mexican authorities are saying to me, hey, listen, we don't mind giving you our investigative packet. Here it is. This is exactly the documentation that we've already sent to Interpol and the FBI. So then the FBI says, I mean, we could do something if Mexico would do something. But do you see how all that does is just create more delay and create all of this, that we have to be here today? That all it would take is for someone at a high level to intervene and say, hey guys, it's an international murder investigation. Let's figure out what needs to be done. If there has to be a meeting, if I need to get on a plane, if I have to go there, if we have to do a Zoom, whatever it is. You'd think on a transnational criminal case that would affect tourism in Mexico, that would affect criminal law, obviously, in the United States in terms of not deterring people from going overseas to commit crimes and then returning back to the United States, that somebody could figure out how to have a meeting for them to communicate. And not to mention the fact that it's being represented to us that there is some sort of communication, because there was communication and documents exchanged for the FBI here to investigate. So it's not that they're saying we don't have communication. So if the missing piece is a document, right? Just like we can talk about it and say, hey, the missing piece is a document, so can they. And they should be. And if they were taking serious, they would have those documents in place.
Can
Yes.
you talk a little bit about the person that the Mexican authorities has the arrest warrant for, the person's name, and how they were involved? Is it a friend, a former friend? There is a name that is out there, but I don't know if you talked to Mexican authorities about that name and that arrest warrant, or anything you talk about that person that they want arrested?
Talk about the person?
The arrest warrant. There's a name that's out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you could say the person's name of the arrest warrant and the person that they want extradited.
Okay. So I've said it before, it's not a secret. The Mexican authorities have already identified in their investigation, based on the identification of the aggressor in the video that we all saw, they identified Dejanay Jackson as the aggressor in the case. Yes.
Is civil action?
You've been listening live to the attorney for Shanquella Robinson's family. That's Sue Ann Robinson, speaking at a church here in Charlotte, speaking after the family met with the FBI Charlotte office today. A lot of information. The biggest news of the day, U.S. officials are not pressing charges against any of the people that accompanied Shanquella Robinson on that trip late last year. Now, a big point of what Sue Ann Robinson said, of course, she said the family is disappointed, but not deterred. They still plan to go to Washington, D.C. and demand high-level diplomatic intervention, saying they're determined to find some kind of result, some kind of justice in this family. Now, an important part of this, we've been covering this story from the start, of course, and we've been telling you that Mexican authorities conducted an autopsy that said that even though she was initially reported to have alcohol poisoning, their investigation discovered a spinal cord injury. But right now, Sue Ann Robinson is saying that U.S. officials, specifically the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's autopsy revealed no spinal cord injury and listed Shanquella's cause of death as undetermined. Now, that, of course, is a big question mark for Sue Ann Robinson and for Robinson's family, because they're saying that there, of course, has been a video that so many of us have seen that has shown Shanquella Robinson being attacked in what appears to be a resort hotel room on that vacation. Now, of course, our Brandon Hamilton is there right now. Our coverage will continue this afternoon live at 5. Brandon is staying on top of the new details, and you can get the
justice. Here's what the course of action is. Here's what you need to do. She had to push for that. Sandra Bland's mom had to push for that. You know, in George Floyd's case, their family had to push for those things. And so it's not something that is unexpected. I mean, I would think as a student of the law and as an attorney for 16 years, we could get somewhere with it, but we're not there.
But as far as that open records, at least part of the civil process, that would be part of the lawsuit. That's something, maybe that's something we're actually looking at just to see exactly where the ball is and drop to.
I mean, there's other ways for us to do that, a similar exploration, and I say sure in terms of a civil lawsuit because it's never outruled, but that's not where we are at in this moment. In this moment, the frustration is, why is there two different systems? That's the frustration. Why do we have to go and think about, oh, let's use a civil remedy and bend ourselves all out of shape for something that's fair in the Constitution, basic, you're a victim of a crime, this is how it should be handled, it's on video, this is how it should be handled. Why do we have to do all of those things, I think, is the frustration at this moment, and why we're saying we're pushing to still go to Washington, and we want all of you to join us there, because it really is bigger than SHANQUELLA, and it's very close to my heart, obviously, because these are my clients, and you know, I got to learn and know SHANQUELLA after her passing, but it should absolutely, this should be a packed room. This is a national issue. Anyone could go on vacation. Anyone could go on vacation with a group of people with malintent and be hurt, and then the people can come back and say, we're on base. We're okay. FBI isn't going to get us. We're fine. That should not be the case.
Can you be more specific about when you're saying that you're going to go to Washington, like what your next steps are?
Oh, sure. On May 19th, we're going to go to Washington, and we're going to march to the Department of State. Yes.
I just wanted to clarify. So, you said that the FBI told you that they had conducted interviews with people who are on their trip with SHANQUELLA?
Right.
Did they say how many people?
How many people that, no.
Just
No.
with people.
Right. They said that they interviewed people that were the travel mates, and that they interviewed people who were in the house, and that they were in communication with Mexican authorities. Which is why I say, well, if you're in communication with them and there's an error in the process, like they're having a problem, like they say, okay, well, we can't bring an investigation because XYZ, right? Whatever they put into their inputs can't give the output that we're requesting, then they should be able to have that conversation.
And were there any other pieces of the investigation beyond the autopsy and the interviews with people who were, I guess, on the trip that the FBI disclosed to you?
Not that we were advised of.
So the investigation kind of comprised of those two pieces?
Yeah. It comprised of them doing the autopsy after the body had already been embalmed, and they advised that they spoke to witnesses. So that's all we got. Yes.
I'm one of the bloggers that's covering the case.
Oh, okay.
What can we do to help in this case?
Yeah, I think being present is the most important thing. I think this case came from social media and from people saying this is not enough. I think most importantly is if you are going to share information on the case, please make sure it's factual information, because that actually hurts the family. And it hurts the case. Because then U.S. authorities are allowed to say, well, we heard this, or we heard that, or this is that, or it's not a real case, it's an internet hoax, or whatever the case may be, which can set the case back. So if sharing information on the case, keeping SHANQUELLA's name in the media is super important, but it's super important to attach it to actual factual information.
There you go.
So that we're not hurting the family and we're not hurting the case.
My question is to his mom and dad and family. I'm sure this has been really hard for them since this happened last year. With the news today, emotionally, how are they? They haven't had time to be supported about their emotional state and everything like that. It goes through after grieving for their daughter and now pushing for justice, actually.
Sure, and I opened with it, which is they are extremely disappointed, as anyone would be in that situation, but they're not being deterred by it because they understand that they've had to carve their own path from the beginning. And so they're disappointed in this moment, but understand that more work has to be done.
So just briefly going back to my question about the march on May 19th. So once you issue this information, I think that head of state, is that correct? So what comes after, once you complete the march, you get to where you're going, what's, the overall goal?
Well, the issue is we won't be there on May 19th if we can get a high level of diplomatic intervention before then. If the communication or the alleged missing piece can be completed before then we won't be there. But if not, we will be there and we'll be demanding it, because it cannot be that someone can go overseas and commit a crime against a U.S. citizen and come back and not be affected in any way. There isn't any reason it doesn't make sense. We all saw it on video.
With the Department of Justice say they're going to prosecute, do you think that, like, the White House is going to be open to meeting with you guys? Because, do you think that's going to be able to happen?
I think that they should be, because of what I've been saying and what the family is saying, which is Shanquella's case is unique, but it's not without precedent and protocol, and it makes it more apparent, all of the hoops and the things that they've had to go through, that there's two systems happening, because why, right? It doesn't make sense. And so I think they should be open to it. I think all U.S. citizens should be open to us having that meeting and having that discussion and figuring out how we get to the bottom of something like this. Okay. All done. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Pastor.
Now look, like I said before, she said so many powerful things. Everything that she said, I agree with it wholeheartedly. Like I said before, this story is pulling at a lot of people's heartstrings. And I mean, what can you expect? We actually watched it. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different type of situation when you can actually see it for yourself. You can actually visualize what took place. You can actually kind of put yourself in her shoes of being attacked and certain things like that. And like she said about, you know, actually seeing somebody like George Floyd go through what they went through, well, what he went through, and to actually be told it was something else is crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like they tell you, believe everything that you see and half of what you hear. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy that people trying to manipulate our minds like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that, you know, like I just said, you know, believe everything that you see. I believe that more than anything. You know what I'm saying? If I can see it, I can believe it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what actually took place with that situation. They beat that girl, and there was a, you know, cause and effect situation. The cause was her getting jumped on by the girl, and the effect was her passing away. I know the family is broken down and torn and discouraged, but they got to stay strong because they can get through this situation. Trust me. With all of this attention on this situation, boy, if they don't do something about this quick, people going to be in an outrage, man. I'm telling you. I'm already upset, so I already know people who really, really are close really got a real vendetta with this whole situation. But hey, listen, that's all I got to say for now. I'm going to bring back my regular content, and you know what I'm saying? Hell, if they give us more updates with this, I'm going to bring it to y'all. But other than that, that's all I got to say. Y'all made it to the end. I appreciate y'all, and I will holler at y'all later on another video. All right.